Welcome to Passioneer Magazine, the podcast, where you'll hear inspirational stories, encouraging news, and in-depth interviews with authors, influencers, CEOs, and thought leaders. Passioneer Magazine, the podcast. Bold ideas, brave pursuits, boundless inspiration. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for Passioneer Magazine, the podcast. I am really excited to have our guest today, DeShonda Jennings, and we're going to have a great conversation. So I hope you have time to spend with us today because it is definitely going to be worth it. So let's go on and get started without any further ado. Welcome, DeShonda, to Passioneer Magazine, the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, I realize that we may have some listeners that are unfamiliar with you, your brand, and what you do. So before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I guess for me, my name is DeShonda Jennings, and I always tell people I'm just a little girl at heart from the country, Lunenburg County. I'm also a mom, a mom of 7. I'm a grandma to 5. I'm a wife. I'm also an author, a speaker, an early childhood educator. And I'm just a person that's kind of like try to tell people how you can break through excuses. And, when you have different things in your life to happen, I like to consider myself as the excuse breaker.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. And you know what? I am a fan of the big family. So woohoo, you are doing exactly what scripture tells us to do, right? It says that we are blessed when we have many in our quiver. So that is a wonderful thing there. Thank you so much for adding that. I'm sure we have some fans out there, big families as well. Now, speaking of family and the various stages that we go through, when you were a little girl, we have these ideas as little girls, little princesses of our family, of what we're going to do, what we're going to be when we grow up. What did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
Wow, it's glad that you asked that. I remember me always saying, and not even just me saying it, I used to play it in play. I always said I was going to be a teacher when I grew up. And even in my childhood experiences, I always played the teacher with my friends.
Mm-hmm. And it's so interesting that you say that, because I find that the majority of the teachers that I know have very similar stories. At some point in their lives before the age of 16, they kind of came to the conclusion, yep, I want to be a teacher. So I guess it's just something that's in you. And that is a good thing, because being a teacher is definitely a calling, just as much as it is to be in ministry or an attorney or a doctor. So absolutely, I love that. Now, what made you decide that you were going to go into early childhood education? There's so many various branches or departments that you could have gone into. Why was that important for you?
I would say, God has a way to do things. Like, even as I think back, as far back, just taking us back a little bit, like in 1996, I actually had a stillborn baby. I had her, she was born, but however, she was stillborn, and I relocated. And even part of that journey, 9.5 years later, I got blessed. And I always tell people my miracle baby, she just graduated Tuesday. So I'm so grateful for that. And I tell you that when I got blessed with her, all I knew is, okay, God blessed me with this miracle baby. I don't want to leave her with nobody else, because I was working in corporate, making good money, doing great things in the corporate realm. However, when I got blessed with her, kind of like when you have that gift inside of you, I always had the love for kids. And even going through the thing I went with Mercedes, that was my stillborn baby. And then fast forward, DeShonda was my miracle baby. And I decided even then that, honestly, because so many things happened between that journey, I didn't want to just leave her with anybody. And I'm like, you know what? How can I still make money, still help provide? Because me and my husband, we had other kids as well. How can I help provide for my family, and at the same time be there with this baby that I'm so grateful for, but at the same time, I don't want to leave her. And so I decided, let me go back to school. And that's kind of how I started my home-based childcare business journey, was when I had DeShonda. I already had a degree in accounting and business management. And so I went back, because even though I was a mom, I didn't know everything. As you know, child development changed. And because she was that infant child, and that's kind of like that early childhood field. And that's when I went back and got into early childhood development. Like I said, I opened up a home-based childcare business. So even that little girl in me always wanted to be a teacher. I didn't know how that was going to play out. Because like I say, I went to school for accounting. I didn't know that dream, that childhood thing that I used to do was going to be the thing that I do. So that's how I started on the early childhood journey.
Oh my goodness. I am so sorry to hear about your little angel. And that can definitely take a toll on family, but I'm so glad that you and your husband, as well as your other children, were able to persevere and, stand on faith and be able to move forward in that. And what a blessing, like you said, that miracle baby just graduated, and it's like, woohoo, like that is not missed on me. That is such an amazing thing. And I know that though you love your children equally as any mother would, there's something special about her birth, simply because it comes after such tragedy to the family. So I know that your eye might twinkle just a little bit more when she does those awesome and amazing things. Absolutely. And that in itself is so empowering. And I usually try to ask a question of, what do you do to be resilient, or how do you bounce back from setbacks? And you kind of answered that already. You just keep moving forward. You just stay positive, and you don't give up on what you know to be true about yourself, about your family, about your vision. And you guys are definitely an example of that. Thank you so much for sharing that story.
You're welcome. Amen.
Now, let me ask you, has there ever been a person that has helped you, stay focused, that has motivated you, that has helped you get where you are today emotionally? I know many times we talk about being a mentor, woman to woman being a mentor, or in our particular field of study being a mentor to others. Is there anyone who has really helped you stay motivated, stay grounded, or encouraged you along the way?
Absolutely. And as you say, I can just feel her spirit in me now. And like I said, God is just so amazing. He's so amazing, because the person that came to mind, her and I actually became friends. And back in the day, it was junior high school. I believe they call it middle school now. But I met her in junior high school. And fast forward today, her name is Dr. Amy. And her and I is still friends. She's like a life coach. And she has blessed and helped me work through so many things in life that I could say that I give it, I guess I would say that if I have to say, well, who has helped me to get to the point that I am now, it's her. Because a lot of things that I didn't understand, and it's just blessed because we are friends. However, even as a friend, she was able to help me work through a lot of things. Like a lot of things that happened to us is things we're holding on from the past. And a lot of the blessings can't flow through because you're maybe even with things with like unforgiveness for stuff that happened. Like even with my baby, there was some unforgiveness. I had to forgive myself, thinking that did I do something wrong? So I would say my friend, coach, mentor, Dr. Amy Walton has really, truly blessed my life and my kids' lives.
Absolutely. That is so awesome. And good job. Listen, good job, Amy/Dr. Amy. And I say that in that, like you said, you were friends first. And I think that any friend should be there. They should be a part of our support group. They should encourage us and keep us going. Though we know that we do have some friends that happen to be a little bit on the hater nation side, friends should really kind of step up and be encouraging when they can, where they can. And I say /Dr. Amy because she also utilized her skill set, her calling to share the knowledge and the training that she had with you to keep you encouraged at a later stage in your life as well. And I find that to be so encouraging for many of us who are in those fields where our professional life kind of rolls over into who we are personally. Help your friends, encourage your friends with a kind word or a simple nugget of wisdom of what they can do. It really does make a difference. So shout out to her. And you know what? Good for you for listening. Right? Because so many times we can get good information and we not heed that information. So you guys were definitely doing what you were supposed to be doing. Now, speaking of the things that keep you encouraged moving forward, are there 1, 2, or 3 things that you do in your daily life that you find really help contribute to your being a better person, to help you live your best life?
Absolutely, because I work in the childcare space. I'm also like a childcare coach for other women that want to start this business or already in this business. So one of the things that I am very like, okay, this is something that's non-negotiable is self-care. Because being a mom, being a grandma, being a business owner, all of that, self-care is something that is at the top of the list. Because what I've learned that if I'm not taking care of me, one, how can I help take care of my family? How can I take care of my grandkids? How can I help take care of the kids that, is blessed to come into my space and help other people? So self-care is the thing that's non-negotiable.
I could not agree with you more. And I'm so glad that more and more women in particular are starting to realize that we cannot be super women and be the people that we want to be. Like, we can't take on everything, that we have to learn to be, selective. And sometimes the best answer is no, not because we're trying to be mean or that we don't, love folks or want to help them, but it's just with this particular time, with this plate that we're dealing with, the answer is no, but maybe yes next time. So I'm so glad that you said that. Self-care, absolutely. Now, if there was some advice that you could share with a young woman who is aspiring to follow in your footsteps when it comes to being someone who goes into the field of education or even accounting, even in the corporate world, because you do have some experience there as well, what would be something positive that you could share with her, or that nugget of wisdom that says, when this happens, make sure you do this? Sometimes just having a little bit of a heads up can make all the difference in the world, because life comes at you fast sometimes.
Right. I would say that my nugget goes back to one of my favorite Bible verses, like too much is given, much is required. And how I see that, meaning that but when God blesses us with these different gifts, it's not just for us. Like for me, I may be blessed to do this thing, childcare. I'm not supposed to just keep that to myself, meaning that now that I have the gift, I'm going to have to nourish that gift. What that will look like if you're in the corporate field, you may need to do additional training. You may need to hire a coach, maybe even need to do a mentor. So just because you have that, or if it's something you want to do, understand that, like you said, things are going to happen and it's going to be challenges, but just realizing that as you get in that space, it's still going to be so much more. And I always tell people, like, for me with that, much is given, much is required. Now that I'm doing this, now I need to, enhance the kingdom of God. Not just hold this thing for myself because I know how to do this. I feel now I need to teach other people how to do this, because this gift is not just for me. How can I grow the kingdom? How can I grow the community? Don't just keep it to yourself. So just know whatever you're in, whether you're in corporate, whether you just decide to move into entrepreneurship, just understand that as you have these gifts and talents, share that. As they say, reach one, teach one, to help grow your community, grow your neighborhood, wherever you at, you have to share it. Don't just keep it for yourself.
Absolutely. And especially just my 2 cents worth in the field of education, there are so many little tips and tricks that teachers can share, and I don't mean tricks in a bad way. I mean little things that you can do to help keep that person inspired, that teacher to teacher need to be passed on and say, oh my goodness, I didn't realize, making something up here. Oh, if I use yellow folders, that's much easier than using the blue folders. Wow. They never told us that, but that's something that life experience gives you, something that you have learned along the way. And boy, does it make all the difference in the world. Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Now, as a leader in your field, how do you envision the future of women's empowerment with those who use their gift and talent in the field of education, be it that it is early childhood education, secondary, or even if it's just someone who used to be in that field and now they've stepped out into the entrepreneur circle, such as yourself? How do you feel that you can use your gifts and talents for women's empowerment?
I would say, like I said, in addition to me running my home-based childcare business, I also mentor and coach other women. So that's how I'm able to just use that, not just for me and what I do every day. Like, even though I'm running the businesses Monday through Friday, I also use that to empower other people to say, hey, God is not a respecter of person. If I can do this, you can do this. Just got to have that vision, write it out, start with that end goal in mind. And to me, when you can go out here and teach somebody, like you say, they may not have to start at A because you already told them how to do A through M. You can help them, on their journey, not take as long as you do. Like some of the mistakes that I made, I'm now able to share that so other people don't have to make those same mistakes.
Yeah.
That's empowerment to me.
Yes, it is. I tell you, because it really does help. It's like, if you can share a nugget that keeps another person from having to hit their head up against the wall, if that person is willing to take that information and utilize the information, then that conversation was golden. Like I said, unfortunately, some people do like learning through, hard times or tough roads or experiencing the challenge, and that's fine. But for the person who says, thank you for this nugget, let me heed the warning, let me, take in all of this information, that person is going to be so thankful. And more than likely, also pay it forward, pass that information forward to the next person who asks. And I think that is just so wonderful. Well, my last question for you is, how do you believe that your faith has influenced your approach to success or your approach to leadership in your career field?
That's a good question. I would say how my faith has influenced it. I would say for me, looking at where I am today, it was all a faith journey. It really was. Like I said, just doing the work, working through limiting beliefs and things like that, and just understanding my value and understanding that everything is gonna happen for a reason, or everything is gonna work out for my good. I would say that's all about faith. Like every day. And I look at it even in my business, when people come to me, and it's so funny because sometimes they come to me and we're thinking they're coming to me for childcare. And even in that conversation, something else comes up, and I always laugh. I was like, you thought you was coming to me for childcare? Like, we didn't even talk about childcare. So I believe that God really brings the people to me in my path, and just me being able to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Like, I know my faith is at another level because I ain't always been here. I'm not even going to act like I was. I even used to be, as I can think back to when people came to me and they didn't roll with me, I used to be upset. But now every person that I meet, I always just say, God, just let me impact a person, one person a day. And so when people come into my life, into my space, I always am so grateful because that's my one person a day that I ask God to let me be able to impact that one person. So yeah, I don't know if that answered it
Absolutely.
all the way.
Yes, no, that is absolutely perfect. And it reminds me, your answer reminds me of a simple prayer that I have, and that is, Lord, place me along the path of those who need me, but also place those who I need along my path.
Ooh.
Right? So just because we're good at what we do, and we are good at what we do, it doesn't mean that there isn't someone out there that we can learn from. There's always going to be people that we can help, right? And that is part of our calling. That's part of our purpose. So we want to help people, but we also remember that there's someone else who has experienced a little bit more than we have, or differently than we have, and that person can also teach us, even in the moment of passing conversation. So you are definitely, I understand exactly what you mean, and I think that you are doing exactly what you have been called to do, and I love it. Well, DeShonda, before I let you go, let me give you a moment to give out all of your information. I'm sure there's someone listening who wants to connect with you. So what is the best way to do that? And please, if you have a website, we want to know about that. Of course, we want to know your socials, and how should we contact you?
Okay, it's very easy. All things is at www.businesssetupnow.com. When you go to that, it's going to connect you to my Instagram, my Facebook, my website, everything. So the one website, www.businesssetupnow.com, is going to connect you to all things DeShonda.
I love it. Well, thank you again for being a guest on Passioneer Magazine, the podcast.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Passioneer Magazine, the podcast.